All right. We're here with Dino Sneaky Aguilar.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for being here, man.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Likewise. So let's start from the beginning, man. Where are you originally from?
I'm from Boyle Heights, California, east of LA, Aliso Village housing projects, off of First and Glest. Yep.
And how would you describe your upbringing?
My upbringing, my mom was a single parent. I had a brother and sister. Dad wasn't involved. I wouldn't badmouth him, but he was not involved in our lives. It was pretty tough. Had a pretty tough childhood, going through, living in the projects and poverty and my mom not having enough money, and we were really poor, growing up and stuff and just the struggle. It was really hard for us. Yeah.
Not having a father figure in life, how did that affect you as a young child?
Oh, it did drastically because, not having that male figure to put the smack down when we needed it, it affected me because, not that my mom was a weak person because she was strong, but I think for the most part, the fear of her, it wasn't really as bad as it would be with a male figure, and him not, to show us how to be a man and to guide us in the right direction. It just affected me in many ways because throughout my life, all I did was make mistakes, and yeah, it did. It affected me really bad. I think, from my memory, I think I had known two of my friends in the projects that had dads. And the rest, nobody had fathers there. And a lot of us turned out really bad, because of that, not having that father figure, as opposed to the two family members that I'm talking about. One of the guys went to college and did all this great stuff, making money, millionaire. And the other guy also, he got a good career. And, sorry to say, his dad just passed away. But, I mean, that's just to tell you right there, like, having a father figure, they turned out good. And a lot of us didn't, So, yeah, it did affect me really bad.
So, you mentioned Pico Aliso projects. So, back in the 80s and 90s, Pico Aliso was known as the projects.
Yeah.
And I believe in 1999, it was torn down and it was redeveloped.
Yep.
But before that, in the 80s and 90s, it was considered a battle zone. It was a war zone. Multiple gangs down there.
Yeah, most definitely.
It was very dangerous. And you were a part of that.
Yep.
And not only were you a part of that, but you were a founder of one of the founding founders of one of those gangs down there.
Yeah.
Can you get into the story of all that?
Yeah, so, growing up in the projects, I'm going to start from the beginning. It's a 29-acre span of land. It just spread it out. It's a really big area. So you have Pico Gardens, then you have Pico Aliso, where I was at. Then you have Aliso Pico, and then you have Old Aliso in the back. So Old Aliso is probably the biggest part of the projects, and then you got Pico, which is like the second biggest, and then the others were just smaller parts of the projects, which is Pico Aliso and Aliso Pico. So keep in mind, there's so many units in that place, so there's a lot of families there. So back in like '83, I was an actual break dancer, and the breakdancing scene like hit hard. So I was a breakdancer and I was all into it. And me and another guy tried to start our breakdancing crew. So therefore we called it the Mobb Crew. And he was an African American guy. But like I said, us growing up in those projects, we didn't see any color lines when it came to blacks, Vietnamese or whatever race was there. We didn't see any color lines because that's all we knew. And in the projects, it's like a hole. In order to get to the projects, you have to come from downhill. Every which way, it's downhill. A lot of people used to call that place the devil's asshole because it was full of, it was just bad there. It was and like you said, it was a war zone. So like in '83, when me and my friends started this crew, we ended up like breakdancing. We became really good at what we were doing, and we would go to downtown, Hollywood, wherever we can to go make some money. Growing up poor, we found an outlet in how to make some cash. And the drug scene still haven't had hit yet. I mean, I'm sure there was drugs there, but it hadn't hit as hard. So we started becoming really well known as breakdancers, and started. People start hating on us, like everything in life. Start hating on us and wanting to fight against us and do, with the fist, of course, because that's the way it was back then. So we ended up becoming a full-fledged gang, and then crack hit. Oh, crack hit. Man, we were young kids, like making money. I mean, we're talking 13, 14-year-old little kids driving brand new Cadillacs. It was our neighborhood got so structured, and I'm not saying that the other neighborhoods in the projects weren't like that either, because I'm sure they were. But speaking about, Eastside TMC, where I'm from, the Mobb Crew, we were structured. We were structured and making money, driving new cars. Maybe I didn't get that big at the time, but a lot of my homies did. And for us having that mindset as young kids, to have things the way we had it, like having people on the roofs with walkie-talkies and watching everything that was going on, that was unheard of for us little kids, and not really having any education, because I know most of us didn't even care about school, to be honest with you. We were street raised, and that's what it was, And then the violence started coming in, and we had like maybe 8 different gangs warring against each other. And we're talking like literally across the street from each other. This wasn't like a couple blocks down or whatever. We're literally talking like a light. You walk at a light and they're literally like right there. So we were in the middle of the projects, because we had Pico Aliso and we had New Aliso, and then other surrounding areas. So from each side we had enemies. So yeah, it got really bad at the time, What
were some of the enemies down there?
Some of the enemies were like from Cuatro Flats, Primera Flats, East LA 3 and Dukes at the time. Those were like the main ones. Even like some from up the hill. A lot of people from up the hill didn't like us. Like Tiny Boys and Breed Street and stuff like that at the time. It just from everywhere. We were just getting it from everywhere. I don't know if they were just like envy of the stuff that the homies were doing, making that money with the cars. And I'm talking nice Cadillacs. Like, these are young kids. You would be like, whose car is they driving? But it was their car. They were making money. I didn't get into the dope game till later on in my life, But I did do a little something, but not as big as the homies were doing it, And this was like, from 85 and on, back in the day, these young kids just making it happen,
What year would you say the crack epidemic hit hard there?
I want to say like maybe ending 85, 86 is when it really, I'm sure it was gradually coming in, but I think around that time is where it just blew up. It blew up. Like everybody and their mamas was slanging dope down there, Literally. Yeah.
Yeah, the drug game was big.
Yeah.
And that's the number one source of income.
Yeah. So I think when that came in, that's where the violence really struck, because that's when everybody was fighting for territory, fighting for who's going to be the biggest, you had Crips down there, and everybody was fighting for that money. And with money and drugs, it's murder. It causes people to act violently, and it just gets crazy, with that type of lifestyle, and everybody was doing it. So it was just the war zone, and people don't realize these shootings that we had down there, they didn't last no 1 minute. It wasn't a drive-by. These were all-out war shootings, and I'm talking 4 minutes, 5 minutes. That's a long time. 4 or 5 minutes of shooting, and people running across, their lawns, and you could literally see the gunfire coming from all directions, and it was literally a war zone, and that's one of the reasons why I suffer from PTSD. It's a lot of these things that I saw that still affects me to this day, and I never forget, and you never forget, especially living in that type of environment, and, seeing all these, all this death and, the beat downs and the people jumping off the roofs of the projects because they're high on frios thinking that they can fly. I've seen it, and yeah, it was a crazy era, you know what I mean? They call it the decade of death, for 10 years straight, just murdering, it was just horrible. One of the worst housing projects, that you could think of, Aliso Village, man. You talk about Aliso Village, everybody's like, what? Yeah, they tore those things down. Yeah, because they couldn't handle it. They had to tear it down. They had no other solution in how to stop this because they weren't going to stop it. Cops wouldn't even go down there. They would go down there when it was done to pick up the bodies or whatever was going to happen at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Definitely had a bad reputation.
Yes, definitely.
And they wanted to erase that. That's why they tore it down and they rebuilt it.
Didn't change nothing.
It really didn't change much.
No.
Just fancier buildings.
Yep.
So you said it was you were a breakdance crew. You started off as a breakdancing crew.
Yes, sir.
So at what year did you guys transition from becoming a dance crew to a street gang?
I want to say unofficially, man, I think we were already a gang, because things were already happening, like fighting and stuff. But officially, I want to say like ending 85, 86, when it started, that crack epidemic hit. We started like just getting all kind of people. And we were a mixture of races in our gang. And a lot of people sometimes to this day confuse us for being like, that we were Crips. Some people say that we were the Mobb Crew. That was untrue. The fact is that we grew up in this environment where, as little kids, we didn't see any colors because we grew up with black people. We grew up with different races. So it was never an issue of race. So when we started the breakdancing crew, we dressed in that Fila suits and that style of hip hop, when hip hop was at its youngest. So we dressed in that way. It wasn't because we were trying to be black or any of that stuff. It just, like I said, we had no color lines, and our gang, our crew at the time was a mixture of races. Now later on, when we became a gang, people started going to their respected areas. Some went to, different neighborhoods, the Latinos, and most of the blacks became Crips. Because that's when, people start dealing drugs, people start going to jail. And then you start realizing the political aspect of the gang life, you know what I mean? So, therefore people say, oh, well, I'm black and I can't be from this Hispanic gang. So people started leaving. But yet some still stood in our gang. Some blacks stood in our gangs, and for the most part, like you asked, when do we think we started being a gang? And I said like around 85, 86 is where it just blew up as a gang. Yeah.
So you have a mixture of cultures in your gang.
Yes, sir.
At that time.
Yes, until this day we do.
Until this day.
Yeah.
So when you guys get busted and you get locked up, you have a black in your gang or blacks in your gang. How does that work out in the prison system? Do they still kick it with you, or do they have
to?
Okay.
There's no way you can.
And is it accepted?
Yeah, it's accepted. I mean, I'm sure they want to make sure, people in there want to make sure that they're going to be down with our culture or whatever it is in there. But yeah, of course. How are you going to be from a Chicano gang or me being from a black gang,
right,
and then I go in there and say all of a sudden I'm Latino?
Right.
It doesn't work that way. It's either or. It's like me. I'm a Christian man now. It's like I can't walk with the devil and hold God's hand too. It's either or. It's either God or the devil.
Right.
Because God sees everything, and there's no way that I can do both. That's just being a hypocrite. So the same thing goes in there. You cannot do that. So if you're a black guy, and I've been busted with, in the county in Supermax with one of my little homies, and he's an African American man, and he was running with us. It didn't change. I seen a few blacks in there, like from 18th Street, straight homie with big old roshas and straight, with the homies, and just the way it is, I've yet to see a Latino be a Crip in there. I never saw it, not even in prison or in the feds. But I've never seen that. You know, I'm sure it's there, but me personally, I haven't. But yeah, you definitely have to run who you're with. You can't change up like that, because then you're gonna have problems outside. No way, you can't do that. If you're a true gangster, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you might get tested a little more.
Oh yeah, of course, because they want to see where your heart's at.
Right.
If your heart's really with us or what, you know, that's another world in there. You know, to be trying to flip flop like that, and that's a whole different world. And of course they're gonna test you. They want to see. They want to make sure that when you go on that yard, you're not gonna get that on your back. You know, in other words, he ain't gonna hit you because all of a sudden he had a change of heart. You got to be sure. You know, you got to be sure that you're going to be down with the business, you know what I mean? And the race, you know?
Have you ever lost any close friends due to gang violence?
Oh, yeah, lots. I lost like I spoken about him, but lots of time I just did a video and reenacted his death. His name was Sal Mendoza. They called him Green Eyes, Greeny One. Yeah, he was my best friend, bro. Like, we've been through so much stuff that, man, it kills me. It kills me to talk about him, because I love this vato so much, bro. And when I lost him, bro, like I lost myself with him. You know, I lost a part of my being with him, because I mean, we did everything together, bro. We worked together, we lived together, we gangbanged together. Like, this guy was a rider, man. This guy, he had a knockout punch you wouldn't believe, and I think that's where his downfall is, the day he died, because he had got into it with some guy at a store. Matter of fact, we were at work, and he used to always refer to himself in third person and call himself Greeny Dumb, like Greeny Dumb is going. So he would talk like that, and it was funny to me, because he knows he always used to do some dumb stuff, so he would call himself Greeny Dumb. So one day we were at work, and we were welders at the time, and he had just got paid, and Greeny liked to drink. I liked to drink too in the past. You know, me and him were always drinking and stuff. And one thing I always respected about Greeny is that he never laid hands on me. This fool could fight. You know, I never was a great fighter, but I was a rider. You know what I mean? But he never laid hands on me. He always kept that respect, even when he was at his drunkest, annoying as hell. But he always kept that respect. So the day he died, we got paid, and he was like, you know what, Greeny Dumb is gone. I don't need this job. I'm going to go drink. It's my birthday, because it was his birthday, as a matter of fact, the same day. So he goes to party with his, at his sister's house in Monrovia, and the person he was partying with was a wrestling coach for Monrovia High School or something over there. So I guess they went back to the liquor store to go get some more beer. And I don't know if Greeny started it or the other guy started the little argument they got in the store, but they were at the counter putting the beer, and homeboy says something to Greeny, where Greeny, this is Greeny. Greeny was just like, what? Take flight. There was no talking. And 9 out of 10 of the time, Greeny's gonna knock you out. He's gonna lay you out, and he had that confidence about himself. He just thought this is another knockout, and he's gonna grab his stuff and leave. So when Greeny knocked him out in the store, the dude falls. Greeny grabs his stuff and tries to walk away. He dropped the guy, but he didn't knock him out. So when Greeny turned away to walk, he goes behind Greeny and he breaks my homie's neck. Boom! My homie falls on the floor. He didn't die that day. He ends up in the hospital. They take him to a hospital in Temple City or somewhere over there. And so he's paralyzed from the neck down. He didn't know. At first he was paralyzed, I believe, from the waist down. And then just little by little, gradually, it just started going from the neck down and end up in a coma. But before he ended up in that coma, he was able to talk a little, and he didn't want to live, bro. He was telling me for me to pull the plug for the ventilator or whatever it was to give him air and stuff. He wanted me to kill him, bro. He didn't want to live. He didn't want to be a paraplegic. He wanted to die, bro. And I told him, bro, like, and I don't want to look weak, homie, but it just breaks my heart, homie. Like, I told him, bro, I can't do that to you, man. You're my brother, bro, and I love you, and you're gonna get through this. You know, I know you're gonna have some limitations in your life, bro, but I'm gonna help you get through it, bro. I already moved to a one-story apartment where I'm gonna be able to wheel you in and out of the pad. I'm gonna work with you and whatever it is I gotta do to help you. I love you that much, carnal, that I'm gonna help you. And after that, he wasn't able to talk anymore. I never did what he asked me to do. And he just started shutting down, bro. And one day I was at home with my back then girlfriend, baby's mama, and we were in that apartment, and it was a structure where the parking was underground parking, so it was really dark in there. So I get this phone call at 4 in the morning, and it's my homeboy Green Eyes' mom, Connie, rest in peace, telling me, please, Dino, you need to get over here to the hospital because Greeny he's just laying there with his eyes open. He's alive still, but he's not responding to anybody. He's just like out. And then she's like, maybe if you come and talk to him, maybe he'll respond or something, or maybe because we know he loves you, man. Just come over here, please. So I lived in Montebello, right across the street from Quiet Canyon. So I had to go all the way to I think it was Temple City or something. So I told my girl at the time, you drive. So you drive and I'll send the passenger. I need to get a little bit of rest. I was tired. We put the baby in the back in the car seat, my daughter Jasmine. And keep in mind, it was an underground structure parking. It was really dark. So as she's fixing the mirror, and this could be confirmed by her. She's fixing the mirror. I'm sitting here and my daughter's on the seat. She's fixing it and she just breaks out in a mean scream, bro. A scream that would put chills up your spine, bro. And I got so scared. Like, what are you screaming about, man? Like, what's wrong with you? And she said, I swear, Dino, I just seen a figure of a man in the back of the seat in between Jasmine and the middle seat. I swear, I'm not lying to you. So it brought chills. To this day, it gives me chills. And she confirmed what she told me. She saw it clear as day, like a silhouette of a tall man in the back. So anyways, we end up going to the hospital. I get to the hospital and my homie's brother, little Ruben's in there, the mom, everybody's in there. So I come in there. First thing I do, I walk in and I grab his hand, right? I'm holding his hand and I'm crying. I'm telling Greeny, please wake up, man. Please, can you hear me? And all you see was his eyes were like real wide open. They were just open. He had to green his eyes, like they were so glossy. I could see it till this day in my mind, like, and all you see is I'm holding his hand when I'm telling him this stuff, and then all you see was like one tear come down. It just fell, and right at that moment he died. It just went. He flatlined. It was cold blue. Nurses started coming in and they tried to throw me out. I didn't want to get out, but they threw me out of the room. And I'm just bawling in tears, bro, because this guy risked his life for me lots of times, you know, in the wars that we had in the projects, man. Like, and so did I. Like, and he died. He died that day. He died, and when he died, a part of me died. You know, I don't know if anybody can understand a true friendship like that, but when that tear came down and then he died, I felt his spirit for some reason. I could feel him leaving his body, bro. And this is like the honest truth, bro. I have no reason to make stuff up, bro. But it's the truth. Like I felt his spirit leaving. And I knew he was dead. I knew he wasn't gonna come back. And that's a story about him. Like, I mean, we got many fights together. I mean, you know, with opposing people. I remember one time we got into it we were actually invited, you know, to a certain neighborhood on the hills in East LA. And Greeny got drunk and we ended up getting in an argument with these guys. And they beat us up. They didn't, you know, because we were cool with them, but, you know, they ended up beating us up and they threw us down the mountain. They threw me and Greeny down the mountain, like, because their neighborhood, there's a lot of hills. So we ended up rolling down the mountain. We get up and I couldn't walk because my leg was messed up. So I was kind of like, he kind of held me all the way from City Terrace to the projects. So in order to get to the project from that area, we had to go down Mission. So the back of Mission, that was enemy territory at the time. Nothing but them, you know, including the Crips and everybody. So he literally held on to me, limping all the way from City Terrace to the projects. We got caught. They seen us. So these guys started blasting on us. Greedy picked me up. Picked me up and laid me on his shoulder, because he was a real tall guy, strong guy. Picked me up on his shoulder because I could not run. Literally dodging bullets, running with me over his shoulder. He could have left me there, bro. He could have left me there to die and told the homie something else. But he didn't, bro. He loved me that much that he was willing to die for me that day. And other times, this is just one time that I'm telling you, and it was literally like one of them army movies that you see where, I remember the name of one movie I recall, but he's running in and out saving people. Even like when Forrest Gump, remember Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
That's exactly what Greeny did for me. Until we got to my neighborhood, and whoever was out there, the homies seen that they ended up shooting back, and it was just another war, but we got back. You know, I made it alive because of Greeny. Because there was no way I was going to make it running. I would have got killed. How he dodged those bullets, there's no explanation. But to me, now that I'm a man of God, it was God. He had a plan for me, you know, and for Greeny. But, you know, someone was spared, and it was me, you know, to spread his word, you know, and that's why I'm here.
He was a true friend. And friends like that are very hard to come by.
I couldn't even tell you if I have any friends now. Like, I know a lot of people, and I know a lot of people, different neighborhoods, you know. I'm not saying everybody likes me, but for the most part, I'm well respected, you know, and I respect everybody else, you know, especially now, like I said, being a Christian, I humble myself a lot. You know, a lot of people who, like I said before, like people who haven't seen me in many years, don't know my story, but know about me and know about my past story. And when they see me, instead of telling me like, what's up, D? Like, 'cause they call me D also. What's up, D? How you? Nah, it's not even that. They're like, bro, you still alive, bro? How are you still alive? Because it was expected for me. My life wasn't supposed to be at the age I am right now, 21. I'm kidding, but you know, I'm an older cat now. I didn't expect this. Now, you know what? I didn't want to live this long either, because to be honest, I wanted to die as a martyr for my neighborhood. I wanted people to, and it's funny to even think in that manner, you know, because I don't think that way anymore, but to think, I want to die for this neighborhood. I want people to remember me. Yeah, I got murdered for this hood because I was down for the neighborhood, and because, you know, I ain't gonna lie, to this day I love my neighborhood. I love all my homies, you know. I love, you know, this is where I was from. This is what I started, you know, and I have nothing but love for them, but I love God more, you know, and it's hard, man. It's just a hard life, you know, and to hear people say they didn't expect to see me alive, like in that state of shock, like they've seen a ghost, and that's an eerie feeling. That's an eerie feeling to feel, bro. Because I didn't expect to live 18, then 19 came around, and 20, like, what, it's gonna happen now. I can't make it to 25, what's going on? I'm doing all this bad stuff still, like, and I didn't care if I went to hell. I welcomed that. I wanted to go to hell, like, I thought that was a cool thing. You know, I thought it was cool to go to hell, like, but now I know the truth. I know the truth. And it scares the crap out of me, you know? Scares the crap out of me, because hell is real, bro. And sorry to say, man, a lot of people I know, not only from my neighborhood, I know they're there. And I know the anguish and the pain they're going through, and I don't wish that on anybody, bro. But my life was bad, bro. I lived a bad life. I did a lot of bad stuff, bro.
My condolences.
Thank you.
You lost a real one. You said you stated that your baby mom at the time, in the car, when she turned around, she's noticed a silhouette.
Yeah.
Who do you think that silhouette was?
That was him. I believe it was him. I think he was guiding me to that hospital to say goodbye. Because as soon as I got there, that tear came down. I held his hand and I felt it. I felt when he was leaving his body. I think it was him. It had to be. I don't think she made that up. It was too bone chilling to make that, unless she was an Academy Award actress, which I know she wasn't. It was a real reaction, bro. It was real what she saw. I may not have seen it, but I know it was a real reaction. It was not fake. It was him, bro. That's not the only time, like, I've seen things, you know, pictures that somebody took, and in the mirror you see like silhouettes of things that maybe it's in my imagination because I miss him so much. But, you know, I don't know. I think he's visited me. I think he's watching over me. You know, I don't know. Hopefully he made it to heaven, and, you know, I don't know. You know, I don't want to, I don't know. I don't know where he's at, you know. But I pray he's in heaven, but, you know.
Has there ever been a time in your life where you went through a life or death experience?
Oh, man. Many times, man. I mean, I can tell you a few, and I will. But one time is where I never forget that guy's face. And I will never say his name, but one time we were in front of my house, and this was my early evening, I believe. And I was with my son's mom outside in front of my house because I lived on the second floor on Gless Street. And and Gless is between 4th and 1st, where TMC's at in the middle. So I was in the front, we were talking or whatever, and it was me, my son's mom, my homeboy Pirate, rest in peace, and his girl at the time. And I knew better, bro, than to be hanging out in front of the house. I don't care if that's where I grew up all my life. I grew up since 1970, 72, 73. I've been in those projects. That's, you know, that's my home. But I got too comfortable that day. I wasn't out there strapped, not even with a knife, nothing. I had nothing, and I know better because these guys could come up anytime. So, sure enough, man, we're kicking and talking or whatever we're doing. Sure enough, 2 cars pull up from both directions. We just run. Some other homies, I believe they were on the other side. You could just see everybody running. I guess apparently nobody was strapped that day. So some of the guys chased those guys shooting. You could hear it. Boom, 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 boom. Some of the guys chasing that way. I ran upstairs thinking I was going to be able to come out in the roof, because our projects have roofs. So on each side of the projects, there's a little area where you could come out into the roof. But if you're on the other side of the project, you can't come out. It's blocked off. It's just blocked. It's only one side to get into the project. They didn't make it where both sides you can get in. There's a reason I'm telling you this. So I'm running up the stairs. I didn't see immediately anybody chasing me. I didn't. So as I got to the second part of the stairs, I started hearing somebody running up the stairs along with me. And right there, I knew they didn't mess with the girls. The girls stood there. I don't know what they did, but I could hear them as I'm running up, because they go in a circle like that, the stairs. I'm running up and I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna run through the roof. If I have to jump off this roof, I'll jump off. I'll hang on it and jump off. It's been done. Many people have done it in the project. So I'm running, I get to the top. Guess where I hit? I hit the part where I can't get out, bro. So I'm stuck on the corner, and I literally get in a fetal position because I could hear him still coming up the stairs. And at that time, I knew it was over. I knew it was my time. I knew that this is the day it's gonna happen. You know, I did so much dirt to other people. You know, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And I strongly believe that. And I already had accepted that that's the way I was going to die. I already accepted it. I knew it. I knew that my life was going to end in a bloody situation, you know. And when that guy got up to the stairs, somebody I knew as a childhood friend, as a matter of fact, that person who chased me up the stairs, his brother passed away in my car. And he was from a tight neighborhood, you know, with TMC, the Mobb Crew. They were tight with us, which is Clarence Street locals. His brother's the one, he ended up becoming from another neighborhood, which was a rival, you know, enemy for all gangs in the projects. Like everybody, they hated everybody, I take it. So when he comes up, I'm in that fetal position, and I'm just looking up, and we get eye to eye. And keep in mind, he has the barrel of the gun in my face, like in my face. And this guy is known as a shooter. He wasn't playing. It was over. It was lights out for me. And he was going to shoot me, bro. And I accepted, and I just looked at him. I wanted him to look at me like, you're gonna kill me right now, bro. Like, and when he looked and he was gonna shoot, he had this face. I'll never forget this evil face got on. It was like the devil himself. Like, his whole expression on his face was so evil, man, that I was scared, bro. I was so scared, man. Like, even though I wanted to die for my hood, that man put fear in my heart because he was gonna kill me. And I couldn't believe that I was gonna watch this man shoot me, you know? But what happened, when he looked at me and he realized that it was me, he put the gun to the side, didn't say a word to me, turned around, ran back down the stairs. I could hear him running down. Then as soon as he gets down, I don't hear the footsteps no more. I take it he went to the parking lot. All I hear is blasting again. Boom. That was him. He started laying off. Why he gave me that pass? I don't know if it's because we were childhood friends. We played soccer together, whatever it is we did, because, you know, we all hung out. Even our enemies were friends when we were kids. I couldn't tell you why he didn't do it. I wish, like, even in prison, sometimes I would hope to see him in there to ask him, why you give me that pass, bro? Like, why? I never got to ask him. I think he's gone for life now, you know. I don't know what happened to him, but I'm pretty sure I heard something like that. But I never knew why he gave me that pass, dog. But that day was so frightening that I thought that was it, bro. But that was a close call to look down the barrel of that gun and see the good muzzle flash coming at you. It wouldn't be the first time, you know, but it was just something that haunts my mind, especially because of my PTSD. Like, it haunts my mind. I see his face all the time because to me it was the devil. The devil, he had that change of his face was like so eerie, bro. Like, I can't explain it, bro. I can't explain it. It was just so eerie, like the devil was in him, and I believe, like he was a writer, dog. He was a writer for his neighborhood, and that's when I knew, oh, this guy ain't playing. He ain't trying to scare me. He's gonna kill me. But by the grace of God, bro, I'm still here because of him. Because he wants me. He's not done with me, bro. He's not.
Wow. So at that exact moment when the barrel was pointed to your face, what was your exact emotion?
Fear.
At that, yeah. Was it fear?
It was fear. And I'm thinking of my kid. I just had a kid, and my mom. It all, you know, when people tell you, like, when they're dying, they see that, you see your family, and hey, bro, in that situation, it happens. Because, and I don't know how it works, but it works so fast. Even though it was that moment, it wasn't a long moment, but for some reason think of all that. Like, that's it. This is where my life's gonna end. Like, I don't know how you get that moment to think of all that stuff. I don't understand that. But it happened, bro. It happened where I thought of all that stuff. And it's like, it's where it's gonna end. Is it gonna hurt? Am I gonna see all the blood? Am I gonna see my brain splattered all over the place? Am I gonna see all this stuff? I'm scared, bro. I'm scared. I was telling myself I'm so scared. And all that in that moment, I can't explain it to you, bro. I can't. But it's fear and loneliness. I can't explain. Like, why? Why the loneliness? I can't explain it to you why. But fear and loneliness.
And you hear multiple stories of gangsters because, you know, when you're a gangster, you feel like you're invincible. You're a tough guy. You know, nothing can stop you, right? But when you're put in a situation like that, where you're caught off guard, and you have nothing, all that tough guy stuff goes out the door, and you're left there vulnerable, and fear is what sets in more than anything.
And that's a true fact. Because I don't care who you are. You could be the toughest, craziest, downest vato in the whole world. But when you're put in that situation where your life is going to be taken, bro, you end up like a little boy, bro. You end up like a little scared little boy. Because the reality is that nobody wants to die, bro. Even though I said I wanted to die at the time, but you know, probably in the back of my mind, I didn't want to die, bro. And guess what? I didn't, because I feared that day, the day he was going to kill me. But let me tell you this, it didn't stop me. Because I went back, after that fear and loneliness, it turned into anger. Turned to anger and frustration and wanting to go back. But, you know, unfortunately, I didn't stop there. You know, I continued for a lot of years. It took a lot of me being an older man to stop and finding God. And God, you know, blessing me with the things he did. But we'll talk about that after. But yeah.
What's another situation you've been through?
Many. One time we were at a club and celebrating somebody, you know, release, and we ended up taking him back home to the projects. I won't get into deep detail, but we took him back to the projects because he got a little intoxicated and we just weren't getting along. And as I got out of the car and he gets out of the car, we noticed down the street a car creeping. And this is back in 2002. I wasn't even gangbanging no more, but I was doing my thing in the dope game, and I was still technically involved in that lifestyle. But as for gangbanging, I wasn't. But we got caught slipping, and I had a homie from my neighborhood driving. Obviously, me in the front. There was nobody there. My homeboy Big Joe, the other guy that from my neighborhood was in the middle, and then Little Joe. So as I was out of the car talking to the homie, whatever we were arguing about and using the restroom, whatever maybe we were doing, we noticed that car from a distance, and it's like pretty dark down there. They just came with full speed, like from the church, from the Lord's Mission, full speed, started lighting us up. Two guys on top of the roofs of the car, and they're literally with high-powered weapons lighting us up. Blue, 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 blue. I mean, it did not stop, bro. And I'm like, I literally got shot. I got shot on my arm and peeled my arm open because it went in like in an angle, but it peeled me open where it hit my bone. And other people in the car got shot. The driver of the car, one of my homies, got shot in the face. He got shot in the hand, went through his hand, in the head, went out through his head, survived. Matter of fact, he ended up driving himself to the hospital. And you know what was his motivation to drive himself to the hospital? And this is when you know you're a real gangster. This guy was on parole. So his main concern wasn't the fact about because he got shot. His main concern was that he didn't want the cops to find out he was on parole and that he wasn't supposed to be in the project. So he was more like, man, I got to get out of here because I don't want no contact with police. And so it's crazy the mentality that the gang life, you know, instills in your mind. So I get shot. They're still lining us up from front to back. The car got hit. I think we count like 48 to maybe 50-something bullet holes just in the car, not including what went in all of us. So I ended up falling to the ground, and I went in between the curb and the car. No, I don't understand how I got in between there, but I know I'm skinny, but to get in there, like I must have really squeezed myself in there. And I was so fearful that they were going to shoot under the car because they see me go under the car. I thought they were going to get off and finish, you know, go under and shoot me. And same thing happened to me, thinking about my family, and man, here I go again in the situation. Like I'm gonna die again. Like, oh, this is it for sure now. To me, I thought this for sure it's it. There's no way I'm gonna escape all these bullets, and they're like literally a car next to us, shooting us from front to back. But they never stopped. They kept shooting from front to back, and they went and shot out every window of the car. So when they shot the driver, I guess the driver went down like that and got shot. Another bullet went through the seat and shot my friend Little Joe in his chest right here. Hit a main artery. So he started squirting out of his arm like water, like a straight squirting out, and they took off, and I'm bleeding like crazy from my arm because it peeled me like a banana, and I'm bleeding. I get out of the car. Oh, let me stop there. So as I'm bleeding and I'm in the car and these guys are shooting, I look to the cement of the ground that's there, and I see my name on the floor. Like I told this story before. I had wrote my name on the floor. The housing authority had did some paving on the thing when I was a little kid. I don't remember. I was really young. And they knew I was a troublemaker. They told me, you better not write on this floor, Dino. I go, I'm not going to write on the floor. Whatever. So, but as soon as they left, I wrote on the floor. So you could see my name in the projects, like the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I'm probably the only name there. but it's written like a child. You can see it's a child that wrote it. Well, going back to when I was shot, I'm bleeding, and I could hear the shooting, and I'm thinking I'm going to die. And then I look, and I can see my name from a glance. I see my name. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna die right here where I wrote my name. Like, this can't be happening. Like, but so I'm bleeding, and I finally get out of the car. My friend's bleeding bad. The family of my homeboy where he was living at come out, and then the new projects, they have these nice garages that you could go in. They go up and down. We didn't have those before. They drag us into the house. I'm holding little Joe. We're carrying little Joe in the house. I'm bleeding. It's a big old commotion going on. They have a couch inside of the garage. And me and little Joe are literally laying there bleeding to death. He's scoring out his chest. And he's telling me, Dino, am I going to die? Am I going to die? I'm like, bro, you're not going to die. But in my mind, I knew he was going to die. I thought we were both going to die. Because I was bleeding too much. I was losing too much blood. And I don't know what made me do this, but I looked for the hole in his chest, and I found it. So I stuck my finger inside of his chest to stop the bleeding. So I'm holding on to him, with my finger in his chest, and blood's still coming out, but it's not coming out, profusely like it was before. And he's nodding out on me, and with my other hand, I'm slapping the crap out of him. Like, wake up! Don't go to sleep. You need to stay up. The ambulance are coming. And finally, they get there, and they take Joe, and I don't know how they stopped the bleeding on him. They take little Joe to right away. They took him, and then they got me, put me on the ambulance. He ends up surviving, bro, because I stuck my finger in his hand. I mean, there's more to the story, but he survived, and to the day he has very usage of his hand because they had to do a skin graft on him and all this stuff. He's damaged for life because of the artery or what. I don't remember what arm, but he's damaged. Yeah, so they ended up taking me to the hospital too, and they tried to stitch me up, or they were cleaning me out or something, and then the LAPD came, and there was a cop that I knew that I grew up with in the projects too. He became LAPD, and I think he recognized my name, thought he was gonna be able to be the buddy with me and find out what, and I was intoxicated too at the time, and he started asking me questions, and I had IVs on me and everything, right? Started trying to ask me questions, who did it? I go, you know what, man? I took everything out. I started running down the hallway. I didn't let them do anything to me because I didn't want this guy to keep on questioning me. I wasn't thinking in my right state of mind. I could have just said, don't ask me no question, but my choice at the time, I'm out of here. I took off running. They started chasing me all in General Hospital. I got away. I ended up getting away and ended up at the Jack in the Box right there on Mission, and telling the people right there at the drive-thru, I was hungry too, telling them, man, I'm bleeding to death, man. If you don't give me some free food, man, I'm gonna die right here, please. Then they gave me cheeseburgers and tacos, so I ended up eating right there, and got my ride ended up coming, and I don't remember how I got a hold of people to come and get me, and that's what happened. We ended up trying to find my homeboy, my homeboy. We didn't know if he died somewhere or what. We couldn't find him, but it ended up that he was okay too. He got, they took care of him for his wounds. But my friend little Joe, man, we almost died that day, all of us, Yeah.
That's crazy. You said you saw your name that you wrote in the concrete right when all this was happening. Yeah. Now, if that wasn't a sign, I don't know what is.
Yeah. I mean, who would think that
out of all places,
that's where you're gonna die? When they told you not to do that, and me being a little badass that I was, I still did it. And to think, this is where I'm gonna die? Really? There's so much land in projects, and this is where God, this is where you're gonna choose for me to die so I can look at my name and people are gonna find me dead here and see my name there. Is that where they're gonna bury me? Like, you know what I mean? All these things come in my mind. Like, it's just unreal, bro. You know, scary.
So at what point in your life, when did you make the change from gangbanger to becoming a Christian?
Well, I always wanted to follow God, man, because I know that since as a little kid, you know, growing up in the projects, there was this church. It was called First Fundamental Bible Church. They used to send this bus down there to pick up the kids to go to their church in Monterey Park. You know, they were, you know, doing their, you know, trying to save people, you know, lead them to Christ and stuff. So my intentions were never to go follow Christ. My intentions were because I was hungry. My mom struggled to feed us. She did the best she can, though, man. I'm not going to take nothing away from my mom. My mom, she did whatever she could to help, to feed us, and there was 3 of us. But a lot of times we were hungry, so when the first time I went to the church, they kind of enticed me with candy and food, and so I started going because I would get fed over there. But little by little, I started learning the Word of God, and this is as a little kid, you know. But you know, my life went in a different direction. But God was reaching out to me as a little kid. So I knew God, because God says it's going to be for everybody in this world. He gives you a choice. God gives you a choice whether to follow him or not. So God says that it's going to be at least one time in the life that I'm going to come at you and you're going to know about me. So when you come in Judgment Day to see me, if you're going to come into heaven or not, and you denied me, you can't say I never told you about me, or you didn't know about me, because it's going to be at least one time in this lifetime. So that was my time as a kid. I made a choice whether to follow God as a kid and keep going with it, or follow the life I lived as a gang member. And I chose the gang life, you know. But I believed that I was supposed to. All these times I almost got killed. There's more than once. I believe I was supposed to go through all this stuff to speak my story, to help other people. But as for your question, it was in 2014. I want to say sometime in the summer of 2014, I was a major crack dealer and other stuff I was selling. And I was getting tired of that lifestyle, bro. Like, I didn't want to live that life anymore. It was just too tiring. The cops always raiding my house. Me on the run with my little girl. I would have her with me because we had nowhere, you know, they would hit my house, and I had people watching out for me. So if anything ever happened to my pad, I got that phone call, right? Don't come home. You know, I would pay neighbors and stuff to watch out for cops where I lived at in Whittier. And they would literally call me with, you know, burners. I had burners, and, you know, which are throwaway phones. You know, you throw those phones away. And yeah, so I just got tired of living that lifestyle, and I said, you know what, the last dope that I had, I threw it away, got rid of it, and I made a promise to God that day that, you know what, this is it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm too tired of this. I'm tired of running and living this lifestyle, man. I always knew that I wanted to follow God, even in prison. Like, I'm a rap artist. I write a lot of poetry and turn them into songs or whatever it may be. So that was my hustle in there, to write poetry. There was one time that the Christian church in prison were having a poetry reading, and I wrote this song called "Who's at My Door." It was actually a poem. And I knew then I wanted to follow God, man. I wanted to follow God so bad. But in that same token, I was still in that lifestyle. And I didn't want the homies in there to see that I wanted to follow God. I didn't want nobody to say, oh, look at him. Now he found God. Now he's in prison. Now he wants to go do this, you know? And they're going to think that I was fearful of the gang life and everything, because I wasn't. I wasn't fearful of the life. But I knew in my heart I wanted to follow God. So 2014 is where I wanted to follow God. And I made up my mind that day. That day was like, you know what, that's it. That's not to say that I didn't struggle, that I didn't try to go get, you know, money started getting, you know, scarce, and like my only option was to go sell. I didn't think about getting a job. And I did one time. I wanted to try to go get some stuff for somebody after I said I was going to follow God. And the conviction was so hard, bro. Like, I literally got the stuff that was fronted to me, a whole bunch, like a good chunk that was fronted to me. And was like, don't worry, you don't need to give me no money. Just get yourself on your feet. But you know what, bro? I put it in my butt, you know, because that's where you hide it. I'm just keeping it real. I put it in my butt, drove off, homie. But that conviction, because I meant what I said about wanting to follow God, but I wasn't right yet. But that conviction, man, killed me, bro. I didn't even make it back to my house, bro, because I turned right back around, bro. And I didn't just put the stuff in my butt, like, without paper or whatever. But the reason I'm saying is because when I got back, I told the homie, bro, I'm sorry, carnal, but I can't do this, man. And I tried to give it back to him. He was like, you know, not in that paper, but he was like, what? Like, he's like, nah, homie, that's yours. Like, he knew the type of money I was making, so he knew that I was going to bring him money, you know? And I told him, I can't do it, homie. I can't. I was crying, bro. Literally crying, like, and those were emotions that I didn't even know about, bro, because I didn't feel those emotions, and it was weird to me. It was something new, so that's when I knew, bro, like, I really meant what I said. I wanted to be with God, and I didn't want to hurt nobody for money or kicking people's doors. And like, I was bad, bro. Like, you owe me $10, homie, I'm coming to get you. I don't care if it was 10 or 1,000, whatever. I'm gonna come and get you, and I'm gonna make sure that you're gonna understand it, that you're gonna pay me my money. I know I'm small in stature, but I didn't play. And my actions spoke louder than words, bro. And whether it was choking people out for my money and making them think I'm gonna kill them or what, but I made sure that they were gonna understand that this was not gonna happen. You owe me $5, you're gonna pay me my $5. I'm taking that risk for this cash. So the day that I try to give it back to the homie, he said, nah, it's yours. I told, look, homie, if you don't take it back, I'm gonna drop it on the floor. Keep in mind, we're in this pad. We're not, you know, we're out exposed. I go, if you don't take it back, homie, I'm dropping it on the floor. If you want to catch a fade after that, we could do it. Go head up right now. And let's just call it a day, and I'll never come back here again. This is a test that I needed to go through, bro, and I just can't do it. He ended up taking it. Just told me, you know what, man? Don't ever come back here again for that again. You're always welcome here as you know, a camarada, but don't ever come back here for that again. You're done. I'm done with you, with that. You go do what you need to do with God. And I left, and I never looked back. Come December 14th, 2014, December 10th, I believe it was. I'm trying to follow God and do the right thing. My past came back to haunt me. The feds ended up coming to my house, bro. Feds ended up raiding my house for some crimes that happened 4 years before. Stuff that I did in the past came back to haunt me, and yeah, the feds were there. I owned a party bus business at the time, so I had a party bus parked in my driveway. They hit the house hard. I mean, there was DEA, feds, local police, everybody was there. And they ended up raiding my house, and they got me for like gun trafficking and tried to stick some other stuff on me. It was all under a RICO Act from the beginning, but I didn't end up getting indicted in the RICO Act because other stuff didn't stick. But they ended up getting me, and I knew that day that I was going to go back to prison, especially to the feds. And I know, you know, in prison there's certain things that you need to do, that you're asked to do, and you cannot say no, bro. You can't. But in my mind, I was so adamant about following God that I made, that same day, again, I made a choice. I said, you know what, I make this promise to you, God, like, you know, going into the feds, knowing that I'm gonna do a lot of time, knowing that I'm gonna be asked to do stuff, you know, whatever it is, you know, that's gonna happen there. But I said, you know what, I'm gonna refuse it. Whether it's gonna take my life, my love for you, Lord, and my belief in what you did for me and died for me, I'm willing to die also. I'm willing to die just to say no. I'm not going to get involved in nothing. And if it's going to take my life, and that's what the Lord has planned for me, I'm willing to go all the way, bro. And for some reason, I've always been afraid of death because of my PTSD, but in that moment I wasn't, because I knew that God was covering me anyways. I knew that if I died, I was just more fearful of the pain of if they stabbed me or whatever. But I knew that He was covering me. He was covering me, and whatever was going to happen, I was not going to commit any more crimes. That's it. I didn't want to. I believed in Christ, and that's it. By the grace of God, man, it started off with the 10 years. But the feds work in a different manner. They work on a scale. Wherever you land, even your past crimes, I won't get into deep detail, but wherever your past crimes are at is where you end up. And that's years accumulating on you. I ended up with a lot of years. And I never snitched on anybody. Never. I had the best lawyer. His name was Firdos. Man, the best lawyer ever. I asked him, he asked me, like, what would you want to do? You have all these options. I said, look, man, separate my case from everybody else. I want to plead guilty for my crimes and my crimes only. I'm willing to go whatever they're gonna give me. I want a fast trial. Give me everything that I'm responsible for. I'll plead guilty to that. Don't involve me with none of the cases. So he did. So they separated everything. So I got charged with transporting firearms across the United States, and that's all they could get me on. And so I did. Went to court. I had a lot of people writing letters, people from the actual LA Times. Her name's Celeste Freeman, and Father Greg, of course. Father Greg had my back. He always has my back. Lots of people were writing letters because they seen the true Dino. They seen that I really meant that I was really following God. And you could see the change happening in front of them, because I was not that person. So when people saw that change, it was amazing to people. People were amazed, like, what's going on with you? Like, and it's because of the power of God. He entered me, and His Spirit was in me. But the devil started messing with me. But I go to court. They wrote a bio on me and everything, so the judge could read and everything. So it just so happened that year they stopped going by that guideline. Yes, if the judge wanted to, it was her choice now to say, we're going to give you where you landed at. As to before, it was mandatory to go where you land at. It was mandatory. There's no way of getting out of it. And, excuse me. So it was up to her to follow it or not. After she seen all these letters, read all these letters, and all the people that went to my court to support me, she believed what I said, because I was able to speak. And once again, I broke down crying. Emotion I didn't know. This was God working through me. God was letting me speak. He was speaking through me so I can get my point across, to let her know that I was sincere about what I was doing, trying to help young gang members not get into gangs. And I don't down anybody that's from a gang. If that's your choice, that's your choice. I'm just here to shed light and the consequences of being in a gang, of losing people, life in prison, losing a leg, an eye, whatever. I'm just here to shed light, and I'm not here to down anybody. Like I said, I love my hood. I love my neighborhood. I always be from my neighborhood, but now I'm not active. I'm a man of God now, and that's where my gang's at. Instead of the Mobb Crew, I'm from the God's crew. So when the judge was able to speak, she told the DA, do you have anything to say about Mr. Aguilar? After everything was said and done, this man did not stand up. He stood there, like leaning on the chair, like, nope. And everybody in the courtroom was like, what's going on here? Why is this guy not, like, smutting me up? Like, saying I didn't know about my past, because I had a bad past, a lot of assaults on police officers. I had like maybe 9, I don't know, it was a lot of assaults on police officers. But he could have said all that stuff to show how violent I was. But he didn't. Why? My attorney was great. He was my mouthpiece. He was like, he put it in work for me. He didn't make me out to be an innocent angel. He told the truth about me and what I've been through and who I am now. the judge said, you know what, Mr. Aguilar, I don't see how I can send you to prison and put you back in the lion's den. I don't see how I could do that when it's clear that you changed your life and you are a man of God, and I believe it. I can feel it. Look at everybody who's here for you. Look at, what all these nice letters. He goes, we get these letters all the time from Father Greg and all this stuff. Sometimes it's not true, because sometimes these guys are just trying to get out of prison and go back and do the same thing. But for some reason, I believe you. And I'm going to take a chance on you today, Mr. Aguilar. She said, today, you are not going back to prison. And I'm like, what? Well, where am I going? I'm thinking I'll probably go to somewhere. I don't know where. Somewhere they're sending me. I wasn't going to go home. I didn't understand. My attorney's face was like, because this has never happened. He told me that expect the lowest term, if anything, not the 10, but expect at least 4 years. I was ready to jump on the 4. Let's go. I'll do my 4 and I'll take my chances in there, following God and see what happens. And I'll praise my Lord while I'm doing it. If it takes my life, it takes my life. But I know after this life, I'll be in heaven. Those are my riches. My riches and my rewards are with God. And yes, I was afraid to get hurt, to stab, but my rewards are with God. So I chose, let's go. I plead guilty. She said, no, you're not going to prison. What we are going to do, you're going to get 18 months of house arrest. You're going to be on high control parole. You're going to be testing for drugs. Even though you don't do drugs, you're going to be testing for drugs. We're going to be on you. You're going to be on high control, whatever. They're going to be watching you. They're going to be hitting your house whenever they can. This is something you got to deal with. If you are who you say you are, it's going to be a piece of cake for you. And sure enough, I got it. And that was by the grace of God. You should have heard the courtroom. It was like crickets. It was people were so in shock that I never had to snitch on nobody. I never had to point fingers or blame anybody out. I took it for me. I took responsibility for what I did. And me being a man, I think that's a real man, to take responsibility instead of ratting people out and doing all that stuff. You did it. You're a gangster then, right? You weren't scared then when you were doing all this stuff. And this is what I believe. Don't punk out now. This part of the gang life. Homie, you live by like that? You live in that lifestyle? This is part of that lifestyle. It's either that or death or prison. Like I said, prison for the rest of your life. I decided, I'm going to take it. But this time I had God on my team, so I couldn't lose. Whether I lost in this life, I couldn't lose because I knew where I was going. So that's when I decided to change my life. Months before, but that's where it was solid. My belief in Christ, because of what happened in that courtroom, woo! I was a soldier, but a soldier for Christ. And I believe strongly in it. And I love God to the fullest. And like I said, I don't badmouth nobody. I don't talk about nobody in a bad way. My neighborhood, I love them. But I'm here to do God's work. And that's when I changed. And that's when I knew it. I knew for sure.
Well, Dino, with all that you've been through in life, at this point, if you had a choice between being feared and loved, which one would you choose?
Back then, feared, of course. And that's what I strived for. I did the stupidest things to make people fear me. Like, I would do things that I should be locked up already for forever. I've done things to people where that got around. Like, this fool, don't mess with, you know what I mean? He did this. I watched him do this. So fear wasn't done. That was the agenda. Because then after fear, what is there? It ain't respect, but it's fear. Now I don't even need to worry about my money. Hey, you got my money? Yeah, sure, come get it. Because fear. It's not respect. It's a big difference. Now, I just want to be loved. I want to be cared for. I want somebody to love me like I wish my dad would have loved me. I want peace in my mind. I don't want to keep suffering with this PTSD from all this stuff that I've seen. I've been in war, man. A lot of people who've been in like in the army and go through the stuff, man, I could relate to them. And a lot of people probably don't even think that people like me, a nobody, could say I've been to war, even though I didn't go overseas. But they don't know what these eyes seen. They don't know the battles I had to fight. They don't know the things I've done. They don't know what I've heard in prison and hearing the gurgling of the blood in somebody's throat as he's breathing his last breath. They don't know. And I suffer from this. It's real. And this is why I do these interviews. It's not for any clout or to get popular, because that's not even remotely it, bro. It's because I need to spread this word, bro. I need to spread the word of God, and I need to tell people my story so they could understand. For that youngster who's thinking about getting into a gang and he sees all this glory and the cars and the money and the women, it's all a facade, homie. Like, it's not real. It's all lies and illusions, bro. Because when you really do get into it and you start seeing the truth, oh man, some say, man, this ain't for me. I need to get out of here. Some wrote it and end up my age, an old man, suffering with this PTSD and struggling in life, bro. I'm an electrician now. I put myself through school. I've been an electrician for 5 years. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. Making good money, honest money. I appreciate my money. But I wish I could have did this when I was a kid. You know, I would have been something probably bigger now. But I just graduated from school, and I'm proud of myself for that, because I've always been smart, but smart and streetwise, you know. But now, a lot of my life in the streets, I apply it to it now, but in a positive manner now. But there's a lot of things that I would have changed, man. I would have probably, if I would have knew this, I would have never got into it. But I believe I had to go through it. I believe I really had to go through this. Like in the book of Job went through a lot of stuff in the Bible. He had everything. And he had to go through a lot of pain and suffering, is which I did. And I think my purpose in life now is I had to go through that pain and suffering, losing girlfriends to this gang life, losing best friends, seeing friends die, seeing even enemies, die. And it's a strain in the mind. The mind is so powerful that it never leaves your mind and your soul. But I think God put me through this. I had to go through this. And would I change it? With the knowledge that I have now and why I believe that I'm here on earth, I would not change it. I won't change it because I have a purpose. God put me through this to speak my words, and hopefully that, with this your show, we can spread knowledge to these kids, and if they don't want them, hey, that's fine too. If that's what you want to do, just know that these podcasts and stuff, it's an outlet now to see the truth from a real G, a real gangster. I'm not fake. Anything I say could be validated. You could check my prison record. You could check my federal record. I ain't no snitch. But anything I tell you, it can be validated. Like I said, I'm not saying everybody liked me. I'm not saying that a lot of my homies didn't like me. If they didn't, oh well. But I'm a man of God, and I love you either way. But I'm here for a purpose. I'm here to spread my story and let them know that this is not the way. There's better ways, man. You need love. There's other ways of getting love, man. And I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it because this is my purpose. This is my purpose. I survived too many times. Getting shot in my leg. So many near-death experiences. I tried to rob this guy. I had 2 bullets in my gun, being dumb for some day-ins. I let off 2. He had an Uzi on him. Let me have it. Didn't hit me, but that was another time. Like, so many times I had a car fall on my head, crack my skull in half. Homies literally had to pick up the car. My arm was stuck in the tire and the suspension in my head. Literally picked up the car, pulled me out. I'm squirting out of my head and run upstairs. The homies didn't want to touch me because I looked like Harry from the movie Carrie. And I'm leaning on the rail and telling the homie, don't tell my mom it's a big cut. It's a little cut. She's scared of blood. I was full of blood. I fall back, hit my head on the stairs. I was dying there too. But God got me through it. I have to believe this. Why? Why am I so lucky? Why have I been put in situations to save people's lives? I've lost a few, but I've been in many situations where people are dying on me, bro. And I saved their life. Why? I don't understand. Well, I didn't understand. Why me? But God put me here. He put you here. He put you here to do this. Maybe not only me, but whoever other guest you have. But he put me here to speak. He's speaking through me because I could feel it, bro. Because I need to tell the story for these kids, man. Or any other things that people are going through with PTSD. They need somebody to talk, man. I'm a phone call away or messenger away, Facebook away, Instagram. You know, I'm here. I'm here to help people and to show that there's a different way, and I don't want to be feared no more. Not everybody feared me. Some, thought the worst of me, but I don't want to be feared, man. I want to be loved, and I want to give out love. It doesn't make me a weak man, because behind all this is still that Dino, that sneaky, still there. But with God's love, he keeps that guy behind. I get tested all the time. People try to test my gangster on me. And there's times I get mad. A couple days ago, I had to come out at somebody in a way I didn't want to, but it didn't because I planned it, but I'm a human being. And sometimes people take that kindness or that humbleness for weakness, and that's not what it is. By all means, it's not what it is. I'm humble, and I carry myself in a certain manner because God calls me to do that. I'm supposed to humble myself. I'm supposed to turn my face when somebody slaps me in my face and turn the other cheek. Now, do I always want to do that? No. I was the type of gangster that when I plotted on you, I was thinking about it before. I could envision already how I'm going to do it to you. I could see it in my mind. I know it sounds weird and evil, but I literally would envision everything that I was going to do, how I was going to do it, how I was going to watch you scream or hurt you. It just the way I moved. And now that haunts me. Those thoughts haunt me. So when I get angry now, I try to avoid thinking of when somebody disrespects me or something. Walk away. It's not worth it. It's not worth being in prison. It's not worth losing your salvation from God or His love. For what? When the devil's holding him like a puppet and making him do these things to me because the devil's mad. He's mad at me. He's mad because I used to walk with him. What happened when I was walking with him? How come all this bad stuff, like when I was doing the worst? Because he didn't bother me because he knew I was with him. But now I'm not, so he's mad. But yeah.
Well, Dino, thanks for being here. It was a pleasure. Great story. And I'm sure people that are going to watch this are going to learn from it. And I really hope that you change many of these young individuals' lives for the better, man, because your story is so captivating, it's strong, and I think you will make a difference, man.
I hope so, man. And I do, like I said, I do a lot of rap music. I've been doing rap for forever, since a kid. I had chances of becoming somebody back in there because I was one of the few Latino rappers that was doing things. But the reason I'm saying that is because now my old channel was MCD 1780. That's where my old rap videos are at. But now my new videos are all about God. They're Christian-based music. I just released one called Up in Heaven, and that's where I reenacted, my best friend's death. It's called Up in Heaven, and I can say where you can find it, right? Like it's
absolutely.
at Dino Aguilar, Aliso Village, and then you can see all the interviews and stuff that I got going. I got a lot of music coming out. I got another music video coming out called Ride for God. It's coming out in a few weeks. But all that stuff, the music and stuff, is to praise the Word of God. Even if I'm talking about my mom, or I could be talking, but you know what? I incorporate everything for God, because I think God gave me this gift of speaking and rapping. Not everybody's gonna like my music, but He gave me that gift, and God gives everybody a gift. He gives you the gift to do your job as a journalist. He gave me this gift, and we're supposed to use these gifts to spread His work, to do His work. You don't go to heaven because you're a good person. You go to heaven when you ask for forgiveness, and He forgives all, bro. He forgives everybody. I don't care what. I've done the worst of the worst, bro. And I won't get into that, but think about it. I've been in prison, done time, I've done things, always raised my hand, never afraid. But God forgives all that. He doesn't, but as long as you ask Him, please, Lord, forgive me, but you got to mean it. Forgive me for these sins. Please, I love you and I believe that you died for me. I believe it with my heart, man. If you believe that and you say that prayer and you tell Him to forgive you, man, He forgets about everything you've done, everything. And you could be saved and go to heaven. This life ain't going to be easy. It's so hard, bro. I struggle every day. Every day I struggle. I go through things that I didn't expect. I get hurt by people that I love. But I got to believe in Christ that He's going to get me through it. Whether I have to go through this pain and struggle and sorrow while I'm here on earth, like I told you before, my riches are in heaven. And I don't want to die, but I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to go with my Lord and Savior, because I believe that strongly in Him. But before I go, carnal, I'm going to spread His word. And if people don't like it and don't agree with what I'm doing, I'm sorry, bro. But my God comes first, everything second. And that's all I want the people to know on your podcast, that God is real and hell is real. Hell is real, and you don't believe it, it's a lot of suffering and pain, and it never ends, bro. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. That God is real, and I love God, and I love what I'm doing for God, and I'm not going to stop until He takes me. And that's it. And I appreciate you letting me come on the show, bro. I love your show. You guys are doing a great job, and I know you're going to do big things, but I'm honored to be a part of this show, that you're able to let me speak my story so we can help these people. And you're doing a very, very, very good job, bro. Very good job. And I honor you today too, bro.
Thank you. And again, I wish you the best of luck.
Yes,
wish
sir.
you nothing but love and prosperity. And wish you all the best on your continued journey, man, because you're doing something great, and I support you 100%. So
Thank you.
Thanks for being here again, Dino. Until next time.
Yes, sir.